Hi there, it's Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. And today my wonderful special guest is Gale Bates, all the way over on the other side of the continental United States and beyond in Hawaii, which is a long way from Michigan. And Gale and I have been online business friends for I don't even know how many years now. But we clicked in one of the groups and have stayed in touch over that time. And I know from experience that Gale is one of the best in helping you do day-to-day, month-by-month planning to keep yourself and your business growing steadily and consistently. Say hi to everyone, Gale.
Hey, everybody. I'm really thrilled to be here. Aloha.
Aloha. I'll get there someday.
You will.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, as I said, my name is Gale Bates, and I'm an international business coach. And my website is www.mymentorbiz.com. That's what I mentor leaders in direct sales. So, and I help them grow $1 million teams so they can make a difference for others, because that's what this industry is about. It's about serving others and helping others be successful. And I love helping leaders grow those teams because that's what I did. I grew a team right across the country, built a six-figure income, and it's an amazing journey. I loved it.
Help the listeners understand exactly what you mean by direct sales.
Well, the direct selling industry is a billion dollar industry, and it is basically the focus for my business is basically the party plan business, where women go into the home and do party shopping experiences and share their wares, just like the old Tupperware. How it all started out with Tupperware. But this industry has expanded. Now there is a whole nother section of this industry called the MLM, the multi-level marketing industry. That encompasses all of the direct selling industry.
And it's not all bad. I mean, I know MLM can get a bad rap sometimes, but there's a lot of good out there too. And like you said, the industry, or that type of industry, has exploded from the early roots of Tupperware when I was a kid and my mom had Tupperware parties in the house, to makeup and lingerie and specialty childcare, and just I think the opportunity is endless for bringing in certain types of products. And what's your take on that? Well,
I totally agree. But what it does mostly, and what I found, I kind of have this saying, it helps you go from ordinary to being extraordinary. And what I see is it does more than just selling products and building an income, which is huge, but it builds confidence, most of all self-confidence, self-esteem in people. And that's my take on it. That's what I love to do, I see that happen when I see a woman walk across the stage and is presented with just a lovely little gift. Her whole demeanor changes, and then the ripple effect changes around her, because she's now somebody who has that self-confidence, and she becomes a role model for others. And that's what I love about this industry.
Yeah. I know back in my early youth, my early marriage days, I sold Studio Girl makeup, which was a Doris Day product, and Stanley, and some of the nutrition things. And I agree. It really helped me build my confidence and really get an understanding for business that being on the farm and in the farm business was completely different. So I know the advice you have for us today is as useful for the independent rep who's just starting out as it is for someone who's got some experience under his or her belt and is building a team under them as well, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So that would be the 3-step planning routine. And I love how you make things simple. In fact, to quote from Gale's own website, mymentorbiz.com, she says, I believe in keeping things simple in your business, and it's evident in the products and services you offer. So step us right into that. What can we do? What are these steps?
Here's the thing. Speaking of quotes, one of my favorite quotes is by T. Harv Eker, which is, how you do anything is how you do everything. Okay. That just says it all. I love that quote. And so, when I was running my $1 million team, I had over 500 women across the country. I was having to keep in touch with them. I had to have a communication system with them. And you have to plan. You have to set goals. And when you have set those goals, you have to have a plan, and you have to work on that plan if you want to be successful and build a business. So I used to think, well, how can I simplify this? And so I always loved the 3-step plan. And for me, that's this 3-step plan you can take with any business, because I actually owned another business before I got into direct sales, which was developing a product for retail stores. But so this is the plan. Step 1 is simply every month you want to take a bird's eye view at what you want to achieve for the month. Set some goals, okay? And what do you want to achieve for that month? And how do you want to achieve it? And actually sit down. I always say you want to sit down with your calendar in front of you and knowing exactly what you want to do for the month. Then the next thing you want to do is to plan in this 3-step process, or I call it a routine, okay, is you set up a weekly plan. And I teach all my clients how to do what I call a Sunday night ritual. So I actually have a 7-step process for that, where they actually sit down. You have your planner in front of you. You have what I call my one notebook system in front of you, which is a whole nother system which works alongside of your planner. And every week you want to look at, what do I want to achieve this week? And you set up some weekly goals. So now you have a big overall yearly goal. You have your monthly goals. Now you're breaking it down right into your weekly goals. And once you have your week set up, now you want to look at what I call your daily action steps. What are you going to do every day? So it's really pretty simple, because every day what I do is I actually write a to-do list, which came from my weekly plan, which again came from my monthly plan. So anyone can do this in any kind of business.
Right. And it's not just a to-do list that you throw everything that your mind can come up with that needs to be done. It's a very focused to-do list that moves you forward in a consistent way, that helps take away that frustration of what should I do next, and that overwhelm of I've got too much to do, and then we lose the focus about and end up doing nothing or nothing productive for our business, right? Yeah.
Systematized, and when you have things systematized, you don't get into overwhelm. You're calm, and you know that this works. I work from a planner that I developed for my coaching clients for the direct selling industry. And we actually have a monthly action plan to fill out. So there are prompts there. If you're in the direct selling industry, there are prompts on this monthly action page to help you do that. And then again, I've broken that down into actually weekly planning as well. So there's another page for each week to plan out exactly what you want to achieve for the week.
Now, because we've known each other a while, we know that we are both big proponents of that one notebook. You have one place to put things, and if you have notes elsewhere, I have a system for making sure that they get into my one notebook. You have a system for doing that. One of the things that I like about your program, and I know your direct sales planner is so good that it really works even if you're not in direct sales. If you've got weekly follow-ups to do, this is the type of program to follow.
Yeah.
My point is, I have studied a lot of different time management and organizational management, how to do things, just because it's of interest to me. Some I found have nuggets of wisdom, and then some beyond that little nugget are just too anal. Like David Allen, God love him, and is getting it done. There are some wonderful things about that, but it's way too structured for me. And one of the things I like about your system is flexibility is built right in while it's still keeping you on track. So can you explain a little bit more about how you manage that?
Well, again, it goes back to creating systems. Creating systems is looking at basically the parts of your business, okay, that you do over and over on a consistent basis, right? And when you look at those and you systematize them, now you have something to work with, and because it all goes back to consistency. It's what you keep repeating and keep repeating. That's what is going to make your business fly. It's what's going to make you appear confident, make you appear organized. And when you appear confident and organized, people want to do business with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to grow a business, is to be consistent in what you do to move it forward and to bring in the revenue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One of the things I'd like to get into is follow-up, because I think follow-up is one of those big things that people really go off the bandwagon of and aren't consistent with. And then it's the first thing that shows up when their revenue starts dropping, is because they haven't been consistent in follow-up. And that's one of the things that I know is really strong in your system, in your routine. So can you share a little bit more about follow-up and how important it is and what you recommend?
Well, there's a couple of things. In the planner, I actually have a follow-up page of 5 important types of people that are in a direct selling business. So if you're not in a direct selling business, you want to think about who you're following up with. So for instance, if you are in direct sales, you're following up with a hostess because that's the person you're doing parties with. You're following up with somebody you met last week. I call that new business follow-up. You always want to follow up with somebody you met that's going to become a new customer. You want to be following up with people who are interested in your business opportunity. We call those prime prospects, okay? And you want to have, of course, you want to be serving your customers all the time, and those are your customers, so that customer follow-up. And that's a whole nother system that we could get into. And then the 5th person in the direct selling industry is your team members. You want to be serving and following up with your team members. So being very clear with who it is you're following up with, and then coming up with a system of how you follow up with them. So like, for instance, we work a lot with customer care on, we call it a 3-3-3 system. So we follow up within 3 days after you've made the sale, right? To just say, to make sure that, that you thank her for the order, or whoever you bought from, and that you'll be letting her know as soon as it's heading towards her and she's going to be receiving it. Then 3 weeks later, okay, so you've done 3 days, now 3 weeks later, you want to call and find out how she's liking that product. By now she's received it. And so now you want to be finding out how she's liking that product. And again, these and I'm talking about calling and talking to people, not texting people, not instant messaging people. I'm talking about building relationships voice to voice over the phone. And then the 3rd time is 3 months later. So it's 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, that person might need to be renewing some of the products. Or again, it's all about relationship building, and that's what any business is about, really. But in the direct selling industry, it is huge, and we work on building relationships.
And if you're not in the direct sales business, you might be hearing this and going, okay, how does this apply to me? Well, I have JV partners, joint venture partners. I have networking of people that I've met. I have prospects, warm, hot, or cold. Cold ones kind of go to the bottom of the list, but the ones that have expressed an interest, in what I offer. I have clients. And then for me, it's following up with my various guests for things like Fast Action Friday. You know, how can I serve them more? What else could we do together? How did the reception for their followers come about? So there's always a way to take the information you're learning and apply it in your own to your own field.
And again, doing it consistently.
Right. And what we're doing is we're keeping that pipeline moving. You know, it's not a matter of just filling in this funnel and putting a cork in the bottom of it. You got to keep it flowing.
You know, I have clients who say to me, "Oh my gosh, I haven't followed up in 3 months. Oh my gosh, you know, should I go back now, or have they forgotten me, or whatever?" You know, and I say, look, it's never a good time. It's always a good time to follow up. But doing it consistently, I have one client who does it every Friday. Every Friday morning for 1 hour, she does her follow-up, okay? And she looks at the 5 people she's following up with. And yes, sometimes it will be a text. Sometimes it will be an instant message. But more than likely, if you truly want to build that relationship, it'll be a phone call.
So what's the difference in her business when she's doing that versus when she wasn't doing that consistent follow-up?
More business, right? More business, more referrals. You know, things are getting busier because people, and she's also keeping her brand alive. You want to keep your brand alive. Let people know you're still in business. If they haven't heard from you in 3 months, maybe they think you're not in business anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. And why would you say people don't follow up consistently? Are there any traditional or common traits or reasons for not following up?
I think it's time management more than anything. I think it is one of those things that people put on the back burner. I think one of the most important is if you're looking for clients, if you're in a business where you're looking for clients, you have got to follow up when you meet somebody new. It goes back to building those relationships. And I moved to the city of Denver quite a few years ago and didn't know a soul, didn't know one person in that town. And I had to physically, this is before the age of Facebook and all of that, and I had to get out there and meet people face to face, and I had to have a system of following up after I met them to continue building that relationship. And that's why it's so important.
Right. And having a system like you suggest takes that question of who am I going to call today? It's on your list. You pick up the phone, you make the phone call. I know with some of the people I deal with, they're afraid of the answer they might get. But to me, if they're not interested, that leaves that space open for somebody else to come in who is. If you're holding on to somebody who's not interested and they're taking up space in your mind and in your business and on your calendar, and you're just not getting to them, that's a waste. You know, that's a waste of your effort and your mental energies, and sometimes letting people go is a good thing.
Right? Absolutely. I totally believe that. I even used to share with my clients, if they just say, would you like me to keep you on your list? Actually say those words. And if they say no, thank you so much. You want to know that, right? But the other thing about it that I was thinking, if I'm very much an analog person, but if you're a digital person, there's some great platforms and software out there. One of my clients uses Trello a lot,
mm-hmm.
And with her follow-up, and she actually has where Trello can beep you to follow up with these people. She has the 3-3-3 system worked out so that she knows she'll get a beep when it's 3 weeks time to follow up with these systems as well. Again, it's just, you're in business. You know, you want to make it simple, but you want to make it consistent, and you also want to make sure that you are following up.
Right. Absolutely. Another point I wanted to bring up and get your feedback on. I know when we're doing like a local networking and people are sharing business cards, which I collect business cards more than I give them out anymore. because too many people think that once they hand that business card, they sit and wait for somebody to contact them. And they'll say, oh, I got this handful of leads. And I'll go, those aren't leads. Those aren't leads until you do something to reconnect with them in a particular way. Then they move from contact to a lead for you. And they go, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But so in that case, they're using the business card to distance themselves from someone.
No, there's a way to do that. There's a way to do it. And again, this is building your confidence to do that. But I call it the know, like, and trust factor. Okay? People have to get to know you, they have to get to like you, and they have to get to trust you before they'll do business with you. Mm-hmm. And again, I had a strategy around this when I moved to the city and didn't know anybody. And I would go to a networking event or a social event or something, and I would get to know people. I'd make a connection with them. And then I'd follow up very soon, within the 48 hours. And it could be an email, it could be a text, it could be, it was so great to meet you at the event last week. Let's talk soon. Just a great to meet you kind of thing, okay? Mm-hmm. Then I had what I called my back pocket invite. So my strategy was, because I knew no one, that every week I would do a showcase at my home of my products, because I was selling fashions back then. That was my business. And so I would say, I'd love to invite you to one of my showcases. I do it every Wednesday from 2 to 7. I'd love to invite you to come over and take a look at my fashions. And so I had met that person. I got to know them. I'd followed up with them, okay? And I invited them over to view my fashions. Now they're beginning to like me, because now they know what my product is. And then when they buy from me, or they want to book a party with me, now they're beginning to trust me. Now I've built that relationship. And with some people, it might take a week or two. With some people, it might take a month or two. It might take a year. Mm-hmm. But you've got to have a strategy around that.
Right. I love that, because as someone who has hosted a few parties in the past, I've dealt with people that basically put me on their schedule, showed up, but there was no interaction. You know, I didn't feel like they were truly cared whether I bought or anybody bought. And I'm thinking, if they don't really care, is it because they don't really like their own product? And if they don't like their own product, I don't know if I want to like their product.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's a whole strategy, and I actually teach my clients that. We have what we call a powerful story that we work with. When you first meet somebody new, what do you say? You know, how do you build that relationship? How do you interact with people when you first meet them? They don't know you, you don't know them. And we have a whole strategy on working with that, with what I call a powerful story.
With something like that, thinking back on your 3-step planning, where in the process is getting in touch with new prospects or new people in the networking? Is that in part, does that start in that monthly? What do I want to do or accomplish this month? And then filter down into the weekly, daily?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because, and it goes back to your follow-up question. You have to be developing new business all the time. We have that in the direct selling industry, and probably in any industry. We have that rule, the 1/3 rule. 1/3 are going, 1/3 are staying, and 1/3 are coming, okay? The 1/3 rule. And that can be with your customers, that can be with your hostesses, it can be with your team members. That's what happens. People's lives change. People get interested in one product and then they're not interested in it. So you're always out there marketing and building your business. All businesses are doing that today. Mm-hmm. And so the follow-up and the planning part of it has to be part of your planning. You have to have that in there. And that's why I like to have a list of, you know, like I said, for us, it's the 5 important people we need to be following up with every week. So what business are you in, and who are the important people you need to follow up with every week consistently, right?
How did you come up with the number 5? I mean, is there a significance to that one?
No, it's in our business, those are the people. We always follow up with our hostesses, our customers, new people for new business, and prime prospects for people who are interested in the opportunity, and your team members. Those are really, in the direct selling business, those are the ones that you truly want to be following up with.
So we start with the 5 types of people we need to connect with, and then add the names to it. So actually, throughout the week, we're getting in touch and interacting with more than 5 people.
Oh, absolutely. No, these are just 5 types of people.
Mm-hmm.
And this week you may only follow up with your customers. Next week you may only follow up with your prime prospects, but you have to have those people. That's why it's good to have the list of people written down. So whatever business you're in, if it's not the direct selling business, you have 3 types, at least probably 3 types of clients to be following up with.
Right. And I like the idea of knowing the category a various contact falls into. So you stay balanced in your business. You got that coming, staying, going,
yes,
rotating.
Exactly.
Like me, you like your notes. I like my notes. I use a combination of hand and digital because paper makes me happy.
Yep.
And I'm not always at my desk. I can take that any place in the house and sit and do that.
So every Sunday night, I sit down with my planner, with my phone, because I sync my phone as well to my planner, and my one notebook, and that's how I plan my week.
All right. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left. So tell us a little bit more about your one notebook and why you feel that's so important, which I agree. And maybe a little bit more about your planning system, your direct sales planner.
Well, the one notebook system is pretty simple. I don't know if and I hear this from lots of people, you get, somebody gives you a card, or somebody gives you something to write down, and you write it down on a piece of paper anywhere, and all of a sudden, all of your desk, there's all these pieces of paper. Maybe it's in your purse, maybe it's somewhere else, and you can't find it, right? And you just panic. I had that written down somewhere. So I decided it wasn't going to happen to me anymore. So I decided I was going to use a one notebook. And I'm a bullet journaler. I love bullet journaling. Some of you may have heard of that. So I developed a system with my one notebook. So any time, I never leave home without my keys, my phone, and my one notebook. It goes in my purse. It's like a moleskin. I love the moleskins. They're the right size for me, and I never leave home without it. And if I ever have to write anything down, it's called discipline. You have to really discipline yourself in the beginning, especially, that you only write something down in your one notebook. Okay, you don't write it on a piece of paper unless you use a sticky, and then you can stick it in your one notebook. So then it becomes like a journal, like a record. I mean, I can go back to, and I start my day with the day, the date, okay? So today, whatever today's day and date and year, I make sure that is.
I do too.
And I label them all. I label them all, and I can go back to any one of them and look at them. It's like a journal, and know what I was doing on that day, and know what was important for that day. And yeah, I have lots of scribbly doodly pages too, with nothing, and fun things and drawings and things on it as well in there. And when one gets filled up, you date it, you put it away, you get the next one, and you start again. So that's my one notebook system.
And how does that connect with your sales planner system?
Well, the direct sales planner is for those who, it is a custom design planner for people in direct sales who are holding parties, holding appointments, presentation appointments, lots of team meetings, and they want to keep that calendar full. So it is custom designed for direct sellers. And in it, there are 4 sections. The first section is all around what I call calendar confidence. I have a calendar confidence system. It's a 3-step system, because in our industry, one of the biggest problems that people face is not having enough bookings, not having enough parties on their calendar, because that's the key. And so I share with them a system on how to keep consistently have a calendar full of bookings. And then there's a whole section on goal setting. I'm big into goal setting. We set yearly goals. I call it your BHAG goal, your big, hairy, audacious goal for the year. We set that up, and then we break it down. We break it down into quarterly goals. In fact, I have a free Facebook group for people who are interested in 90-day success plans, because I love to work with people who, you can accomplish a lot in 90 days. And then we go into the calendar year, and I have pages set up for you to be successful. So we start with planning for the month. We have a planning, week-by-week planning. We have the follow-up that we talked about. And in our business, we're talking about checking with hostesses, because that's the mainstay of our business. And then I actually have tracking pages for you to track your records of what sales you made and who you followed up with. And then I actually have a business recap for the month, so that for the month, you actually go in and you can recap the amount of sales you had and what your expenses were. And this is something you can actually give to your accountant at the end of the year, so that it's all there. And so you're tracking your income and your expenses. Right. So that's basically how it works.
And we know that all the planning and the tracking, those are like the 2 ends of the seesaw for business. If you prefer business growth, you've got to be doing one and you've got to be doing the other to keep that momentum so it keeps going. Well, we are going to include the link to you on Facebook and a way for them to see all of the wonderful things that are included with your direct sales planner, which I highly recommend for anyone that is in direct sales. And even if you're struggling and there's not another system you found that works for you, and you want a little bit more structure and yet not feel confined, that still allows you that flexibility. I also recommend you check that out too, even if you're not direct sales, because there is just so much. I can take the book, and I've got one from a past year, and I think I may be getting another one this year, because I like to have one on hand to give to a client or a friend sometimes. And if it doesn't work exactly the way you need it to, there are going to be tons of ideas that you can say, oh, I can do this way. I can take this play. And now I see. And you can see that structure, which you have created and refined so well over the years. Or you still wouldn't be doing this after all these years, right?
No, well, I just love it. I think that's the thing. You have to be passionate about what you do. And I'm passionate about helping leaders and direct sellers really just refine what they're doing so they can grow their confidence and their self-esteem, and that's what happens in this industry. So thank you, Kat. Thank you so much for having me on today. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, love having you on. We'll have to get back to we used to do a private mastermind with a couple of women that we just loved, and then we've all got kind of busy, and we're going to have to work on that again or something. Anyway, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest today, Gale Bates from mymentorbiz.com. Do check out her direct sales planner. I've never found anything better, and I highly recommend it to any of my clients and friends who are in direct sales. That's for sure. And this is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, closing another episode of Fast Action Fridays, inviting you back next week when I will have another awesome guest that will be sharing tips on how you can grow your business. Until then, remember to keep rocking your unique path to success.